Hi, I'm Eric Shorter, and I'm a poet. I'll be reading a few poems for you as I go. I'll try to explain some of them, and some of them I'll just read straight on. This first poem is actually a sonnet written in traditional Shakespearean style, and I'm choosing this poem as my first poem because recently on Dustin's Kaleidoscope, I spoke about my fascination with the sonnet. So this is the last one that I've written. It is sonnet number 25. We prepare not regret for one day more, live full into a 25th hour. Throw bread on the waters of life from the shore, take note the burst of spring into flower. Courage past the red into green ahead, victory with this, faith, strength, joy, and love. Show grace and kindness that all will be fed. As flies the eagle, so too does the dove. Far from becoming the look of despair, mete out the feeling, may glory be thine. Slip tricks of worry head high with great care. Hope is the balm that engenders divine. As every path leads to right here and now, steady beat the hearts that speak of somehow. This next poem was featured in the Black Lives Matter Poetry Project, and it's how I came to be here in the first place. It's called A Miracle. Exactly how long is a moonlight mile? Will it be an equal distance for me as for everyone else? Will the tones of my skin glisten in its light indistinguishable as for you? If you walk it in my shoes and I in yours, will we arrive at the same destination? Or, when I jog its length, will I be pursued by a pickup full to the brimstone with a thirst of rabid fanatics, shotguns and pistols at the ready, aim, fire? If I follow it, when now I lay me down to sleep with my cherished loved ones, bathed in its peaceful glowing, across the window sill in stillness, will my door be kicked down, unwarranted in error and murder? If I should stop along the way, as casual as another day, will I be detained, restrained until tortured death by knees pressed down on my neck and back? Or, is there a railway line to carry us through all the way, to be lying by your side? Together, I still believe. It is the same as a miracle. Back in the 90s, I wrote a poem that was about where I lived. And I was residing in San Francisco in the Mission District, and a filmmakers, I should say, they asked me to write about my environment and how cool my neighborhood was. And so this is a time capsule of a particular neighborhood that's no longer there, although the block in the corner still exists. And this first poem of mine that was actually picked up and published and turned into a video. So this one is called The Corner of. 18th in the fighting man. Between the barking dogs and dykes I landed, above the flashing store, say cheese, where the electric 33 vibrates back and forth, back and forth, back and forth each day. Some ride this way beyond perms, curls, and the unsmellable pastry cakes toward that missionary goal. The other stop this side, passing the new phase into lush envy and infamous Fidel hell. I had a box with a star, and it was number 1, but that don't make me either. My wardrobe within the ruby red ragged room is testament. From within, I sometimes watch the exhaust of the working stiffs rise, waiting for the tumbling of their protective skins to dry, and once a week, the collectors bring their diesel pipes to clap for me. From above and just beyond, I can see quality, sensational junk and thrift hit the streets, doing the samba song and mambo, going in and out, in and out, in and out each day. On the land of a constant fight to keep the gray haze at bay, the dogs wag their approval with frolic frantic, running down and around the hill of all hills. This dog right must disclose its daily diversions without fail. With a yip and a yap, and away we go. It's off to no man's allowed land. That dog left can be heard with the drop of a pin ad nauseum. The dog can go all day, never near enough to the most beautiful building in all of Nutville. While all the while, the empty lot across the asphalt river, in the life of my existence, next to straighten up and buy anything varietal garbage, just beyond the brown wood barrier, calls out the reminder. The earth has a soul to save. This rash of urban haste chafes at the skin of the globe. I've been inclined to no mind if the soil be soiled. Soon enough we will know the worse for wear and tear. If only I could see what's in the empty lot. From here, I call home. I wrote this poem in August of 2006. I was sitting in my backyard, and then I read it during the pandemic for a juried Zoom reading, and the jury selected it to appear in a compilation that was published by Jakar Press. And I was honored to be included amongst some really fine writers. Anyway, it's called August 26th, 2006. There's lightning, but no thunder. The crickets have kicked up a racket. The sky is thrown on a shawl, and the boy next door is in trouble. Across the street, the neighbors are restless. Plenty of lightning, but no thunder. The crickets continue their field day. A resident raccoon comes over my fence, scaring me from my seat, which in turn scares it up the tree. I don't think I ever seen one climb so high, to perch, a good-looking crook in the crook, looking down on my fire and smoke, grooming with comfort and patience, unbothered. The lightning is persistent, but no thunder, as are the crickets. A fine night, a fine smoke, sweet, rich, grand, the odd one out, for time to pass, but won't explain what blew the fuse, or what it means, this life, when the visitors are gone. I see lightning, but no thunder, crickets. This is a very short poem that was published online with a online group called Prometheus Unbound. It's called Vai Se Quiser, which is Brazilian for, I don't know, if you want. Vai Se Quiser. Some like it sugarcane jello on springs with built-in motors. Love don't really fade. No small feat in convincing a beautiful woman that you are the only one for her. Before the beginning, she is the sun. This is a recent poem that I wrote about getting older, and it was picked up by a publishing house called Poet's Choice, and it appears in a compilation called The Joys of Aging. So this is Old, How Are You? Age is a total scoundrel and a near humorless lout and a creep, without remorse and little regard for catching feelings, a pugnacious adversary at that, thankfully, mercifully agnostic, willing to give ground for the good fight, knowing full well in duels to the death there can be only one victor, where barring the quitter, the out-and-out quitter, everyone's a winner. Therein we each get a gold medal. Herein lies the laughter. And so it leads us all onward through the coil in shackles, coaxing us, come see. Stay until the curtains fall and the lights go dark. Stay And you'll see. You'll hate for me. You'll hate me for it over time, no doubt. But it's absolutely the best game in town. This poem I wrote back in sometime around 1992. I had moved to Los Angeles in 91, and it had been months since I saw any rain, and I wasn't used to living in a place where it didn't rain. It certainly didn't rain very often. So somewhere about 6 to 8 months in, the rainy season hit, and I wrote this poem. It's called Any Town, Anywhere But Here. I hear the beating like the boy's finger drumming on tables, of water falling on the tin drain pipes, paradiddles in the night, the washing, the swaying, like the brushes on the snare. A slow mood swings through the gutters filled with dreams. Rhythms light by chance upon the sill, and time trickles down each pane, while droplets cling to the screen like silver stardust. A day's dark sky calls out, perfidious and blue, like the slow steady on the ride as the hat claps to the floor 2 and 4. And I hear the tapping like an old soft shoe, languid and sleeping. Swell the waves of yearning, the cheap wine pours for moments protected by forgetfulness, for moments inspired by the rain. How I love the rain. Ghosts in the memories. Limp falls my arms from the side of the chair, feeling you there. I hear your breathing, slowly lilting, waxing and waning beneath your skin. There are no winds to dash my dreams against the roof. There are no chills to stir the spirits of tomorrow. Only open doors, long, damp alleyways, empty avenues of brick soaked pure, and a river flowing with a kiss that you know and miss. This poem was written around the same time, somewhere in 92, 93. I was living in LA, and there was this club in an alleyway called The Room. And I used to use this poem for my early slam readings, and I haven't read it in some time. So this is The Room. Getting up, sitting round, looking to work it out. Practiced our Latin step in a Hollywood room. The suds drip down up over the rim, leaving just enough to catch the crook, and my elbow meets the bar. Taking the best of anything, extra special everything, we bathed in the light of knowing we could afford only one. Swore to milk it like no other. Anything from our seats spinning round got us on our feet to offer away. Work it out, then ask for more. Whatever we could get to fill the cup was sure to have us spit and shout it out. Lick our chops, chupas mi chuletas, suck that cooked chicken and rice, suck it to the bone. Please, madam, keep, won't you give it away? Say, this one's on the house. It's an onion. This poem was written quite a few years later. I had moved back to New York City, and I ended up in Stuyvesant Park, and I didn't recall ever noticing that Pete Stuyvesant, who was one of the first Dutch governors to commandeer, as it were, Manhattan Island, and he brought the Dutch to Manhattan and became their first governor, as it were. So there are areas of New York City that are very much named after him, and we even have a main road called Stuyvesant Avenue that runs through here. So I was sitting in the park and I looked up and I noticed that his statue, he had a peg leg. And I thought that was kind of silly. This is a much more abstract piece, but I know what it means. This is Contemplating Peg Leg Pete. I'll be right here, points the alien Sarah Jessica Hooker on one toe. The ride of her life stands the hot dog cart her this way, taps a fine piece of polished wood. Stuyvesant Parks with a jolt on the square must have took a couple 100 years of an hour or so in this journal of his St. George Episcopalian ant crawl to find. Finally, Flying Dutchman, son of slave prince, dining al fresco. At last, Leo say, oops, Slayer upside your head. Kept nice and lively till about that time when all word world sad to say part ways braid stays mind linked thinks from coast to coast best make Jersey lighter darker fear see read a note Octavia B stern of stance cadenza leather bag millennium split happy just as I spit spied charging bullwhip crack pipe need a lasso glassy fried lass on an island cake white icing build us nasty castle now and how so asked out are we? I'm going back to the time I moved to the West Coast, and, you know, it's probably even more apropos today because of all of the gun violence and the horrific, I don't know how to even speak on it, just the horror of knowing that there are so many guns on the street and so many innocent people being murdered on a regular basis because of guns. And I wrote this some 2.5 decades ago, in probably 91. And it was about guns and my disillusion and my disappointment and the sadness of guns. But it was also about magazines and the magazine industry, because at that time magazines were still big. I don't think anyone reads magazines so much anymore. But I put the concept of the magazine with the gun magazines. So you're going to hear these double entendres as you listen to Don't You Look Handsome. Straight out the magazine, yours or otherwise, the magazine, the endless pages of untold horror stories, flash round by round, picture, sure shot, flashy picture show. By and by they go, delivered to the door for the price of a forest, and your life is held ransom. But don't you look handsome? Order some more, it don't take but one finger, go figure, from wherever you are. Learn just enough to be a card, and on the card it's yours. Mind you the fee for quality, some is hollow to wind up in shreds. At new to you fair, so shred one and all the phony call plastic relief. See how the share closes the case of shipments to nada. And before you can say jumpin' Jiminy Cricket, everywhere you go there's a park chock full of the innocent, looking to look good, and they're good and plenty trapped. Straight out the magazine. This is one of my favorites. This is a slam piece that I used to do because it was about me being a kid and in the band and learning music, but always wanted to be a poet. And so this is a very musical piece that has a lot of musical references that are dated, but good music has no date. It's timeless. This piece is called Sound on Sound. I come up from the marching. Oh, I was there, all Joe baritone. They knew I was a skater back then, but I was early on deck. Smooth Parks had just come out, and roller skates was my thing. Oh yeah, dancing, sliding, gliding around, moving fast on taking it slow. Had my first taste of debut in the back, way back. Electrophonic in the house, Puerto Rico in the mix, New Jersey in the day, in the whole of it, sound on sound production. With my brothers Williams, Apache to the drummer's beat. Nothing but a tickle, still in the band every time, steady with no time in my head at all. Just glad I ain't had to be making practice till winter nor progress. On Bomber Z, Bizarre, ba-dee-la-da-ba-da-da. So I say, how to make the data way back. Bleep blip on the flip in reverse for correct style. Pilby ilby when you flip it again and again. Up for the aerial up jump. Cooties, jazzipated jams, kicked in whitey's overcoated Lindy Hop. Riffing on scotch, rock the funky joint. Just couldn't say it that way till today. 'Cause now it's all straight junk without that stank-defied funk. Oh baby, maybe someday. Comet to comet, there are some things we never really let go. Today is always, all day, every day, the day that it is. Yesterday, say yes to today. Tomorrow, sure, call it as you see it, not promised. Measurements and measures taking us back and forth. It's November, and hotter than July comes calling over the airwaves. Turn it up, they say from the back seat. Spinning, swirling, streaking, hurtling across the sky, lying still. All I do is think about you. I wrote a series of really quick clips, little short hits. They were just random thoughts or things that I would hear as I was going along my business, about my day, along my, whatever the word. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is a really short one that I put in a collection called Flash in the Pan, which is essentially just the quick saute, Throw something in a hot pan, flip it up, boom. It's delicious. This one's called Come In, See Here. White on white, height, tops can't never be twisted. Value, variance, transformation, expected moment generating function, probability exam. Just stay on this floor. It won't be, not nowhere else. So there's an artist named Tristan Eaton. He's pretty big out there. He does really incredible murals, and I've always loved his work. And I went to one of his openings, and he had this piece that, again, goes back to guns. And, Tristan is very much involved in the anti-gun movement and gun reform. But I picked up this piece, and it's the first time I ever wrote what's called an ekphrasis, which is essentially a poem written about and inspired by a piece of artwork. And I was legitimately looking at this piece, and as I looked at this piece, this poem came out of my head, and it really was an immediacy that I wrote down right then and there, looking at this. Well, as soon as I got home, I wrote it down. So it's largely unedited, and it's called an ekphrasis, and it's the name of the artwork is called Let's Bang by Tristan Eaton. From another, no other era, all steady, now steady humming in the black light of the night, the exquisite lady was a real pistol. With legs to beat the band and inviting sultry eyes to make the head spin, one sexy hot sex tech shooter intent to steal your heart. Flocked upon with a luscious velveteen touch, side to side, corner to corner, and dang near impossible to find around these parts, these days limited, a rare breed indeed. So brilliant, Joe Cuba colorful, a riveting electric arc, like clockwork, violent, ultraviolet on display in violet. In day glow they go, or better act like it. Follow me, gang, heed the twirling, high-heeling need. Let's let yourself come get it. Beep, beep, ha, beep, beep. Beep, beep, ha, beep, beep. Bang, bang. All right, so I'm not just a poet, I'm a musician by training, and a real jazz head, but I love, all forms of music. But this particular poem incorporates various genres of jazz into little short stanzas, and ultimately flows with my kind of spontaneous composition, as it were. It's called No Trombone. Might makes right, right makes wrong. Can you swing to this? Justify my means, black dog. Girl eats man, man eats risk. Bop gets lost in fear. Confidence you taste. Alto, tenor, take your pick. Back and forth, don't look back. Long since cool been dead, killed head had. Finishing like nice, white, scratch that red bird. Haste makes waste, chaste makes want. Free be me and you. Satisfy these ends. Tenor, alto, pick your pick. I had a chapbook collection that was selected for a runner-up, and this was the lead poem in that collection. It touches on a number of things that I thought were important to me, including, understanding that when I'm speaking to somebody younger than myself, that I want to encourage them to just keep going. So, but I also want to give them some fair warning. It's called While the Getting's Good. Don't play with fire, 'cause fire don't play. But you got to have it to get it. Get it? God is thought, thought is action from the beginning to the end. Breakfast with Teo, green grapes for Vince. It ain't easy being lofty when lowly. Station to station, rush to next rush. It ain't easy feeling famous when famished. Just keep on, dear child, collect what's worth collecting, one blue bead at a time. Soon come, a matching set you'll find, goes so well with everything you've got. For happiness knows not the color of your skin, just the joy of the determination in your bones to get it. Get it?